I have found the next book I'm going to share with you all. I'm going to set you up here by the window and just read the foreword to this book. Original wisdom. Most of us were raised in the empire of the first world, a world and culture steeped in literacy, certain of the fundamental truth that life's great goal is to find that niche where we can spend our days working to the larger enrichment of another person or corporation. When we hear or read of people who live a more idyllic life in a laterally organized culture without layers of hierarchy or riches or want, we tend to think of them as either mythological or, if real, simply too ignorant to have developed civilization. Indeed, with books such as The Ecological Indian, there is a worldwide movement afoot today to prove that indigenous peoples were every bit as wanton, rapacious, and plant-destructive as we are, albeit they were less technically competent. And certainly some were. But such generalizations always fail. It's as if we were trying to describe all Europeans by the story of the Roma Gypsies or Attila's Huns. It's even fashionable nowadays for first world eco-tourists to visit remote parts of the world, spend a week or two with an indigenous shaman, smoke a few plants, see a few hallucinations, and then come back and declare themselves shamans and develop large followings. Shamanisms for self-growth, shamanism for business, shamanism to build wealth and power. It's popping up all over, but always with a curiously familiar flavor, since it's simply the most recent reinvention of the classic dominating leader / searching follower. You pay me and I teach you and lead you way so many cults, fads, and religions have gone. For those who have never learned the language of indigenous people, true contact is impossible, for the culture is embedded in the language. Eco-tourists meet natives or guides who have already been culturally contaminated simply by learning to talk with us. Their worldview has been shifted by contact, and their hungers often tend towards metal, TV, candy, alcohol, and guns. So how is one to know what's true? The question is important because those of us with European or African or South American roots have ancestors who lived as indigenous tribal people for the vast majority of history of the human race. Yet nobody in Europe today remembers the old ways, the sacred places, the plants, the meanings of the stones and the markings and the holy groves. It's all wiped out by a massive Holocaust led first by the Celts, then the Romans, then the Catholic Church. And that great forgetting was then carried to 5 other continents by zealous missionaries. The first wedge of the empire was theft and brutally enforcing these by armies and trading companies over 5 centuries. Now comes Robert Wolfe, trained as a psychologist with a smattering of anthropology, but possessing the heart and soul of an Aboriginal Malay. He learned the language and secretive Malaysian jungle people, the Signoi. A few books have been written about them, often dismissed as fanciful and one even as fictional, but none written, to the best of my knowledge, by people who actually lived among them and spoke their language. But Robert Wolfe did. Through that experience, he discovered a startling new reality, a new way of knowing, which is largely missing from the lives of modern Americans and Europeans, and when mentioned is often relegated to the fringes of science by our religious empiricists. But the reality and the profundity of his experience cannot be escaped. This book will fascinate you in its reading, and it will haunt you in its memory. Most important, it will fill you with hope for a human future more in line with what it means to be truly human. Read it, dream about it, and share it with your friends. This is a message the world must hear. This foreword is by Tom Hartman from Montpelier, Vermont, and this book was published in 2001. I'll see you all by the wood stove tonight. Till then.